YouTube, what's up? It's your boy Felix back with another video today. And today I just want to touch on this topic really quickly. As you can tell by the title, I really need you guys to simplify things and bring things back down to the basics. I'm saying that because this morning I was at the gym and I was approached by another gym member, and he was asking me questions about how to build muscle as quickly as possible. And he was asking advice on what to do and how to fix his training so that it fits him. And he was struggling because what he was telling me was that he's seeing all this information on the internet. And yes, these research papers and everything, they all make sense, they're all great, but at the same time, they're way too specific. And when things are way too specific, it can make things a bit harder for people because everyone's different, everyone's built different, everyone can't tolerate the same amount of weight or same amount of volume as another person, for example. Or it's really hard to dictate what works for you when you're in the beginning stages. So I was telling him, man, just bring it back down to the basics. We don't need to rely on all these things that are being put out weekly and all these new research papers in order to build muscle, and should try and do it as fast as possible. Because building muscle is a process. It's a long process. It takes a lot of months, it takes a lot of years to get to where you want to be. It's not something you just fix in 3 months. It's a good start. 3 months is a great start, but it's something that has to be done consistently over a long period of time, man. No joke. We can't sit around and try to make everything boxed in and perfect when it comes to training. That's not going to work, especially when you're a beginner. When you're a beginner, you have to basically learn by trial and error. I remember when I first started to build muscle, I was doing a lot of exercises, sometimes up to 7, 8. And then over time, like, it just logically didn't make sense. Why am I going to the gym, killing myself, not being able to recover when I can do a lot of work within 4 to 6 exercises that I'm doing now? You know what I mean? We have to bring things back down to the basics. Another thing he was telling me was that he's struggling to find exercises that fit him, and all he's doing is just basically copying guys that he's seeing on Instagram or YouTube and just taking their advice and doing all these new exercises that they drop weekly. I'm telling you, these guys are creative. It's awesome that they're doing it, but at the same time, we have to bring it back down to the basics for people that are beginners like him. And I just told him I had to stop him. I'm a little bit sweaty, bro. It's a bit warm out, or warm in here, but I had to stop him because he kept rambling on and on and on. But I just told him, bro, bring it back down to the basics. Focus on 2 things, and these 2 things are going to get you really far. Focusing on compound lifts and focusing on progressive overload. These 2 things are the 2 primary things that I've been focusing on since I started lifting weights. Progressive overload and focusing on my compound lifts and getting good at them. Now, progressive overload, if you don't know what that means, basically, if I'm going to use my own words, it's where let's say you've done bench today and you've done 3 sets of 10 reps with 60 kilos. So say the next time you come back to the gym to do bench again, you do 3 sets again, no problem. But today, we're gonna either add 2 more reps, or we're gonna add 5 extra kilos, making it 65 kilos. You can also add an extra set, of course, but it's just you adding more load over a certain period amount of time. Compound lifts as well, if you don't know what that is, if I'm gonna use my own words, it's a lift that involves several muscles, but there's a main muscle group that's being targeted. Let's say a squat, for example. When you squat, it's considered a compound lift because we're focusing on our legs or quads and hamstrings, but the lift also requires us to use our back, for example, and our core, or your traps, right, to hold the bar up. So it's a compound lift. It involves several muscle groups, but there's one muscle group being focused on. I told him if you can focus on those 2 things, you're going to get very, very far. Because when you understand how to, anyway, like I was saying, if you can really focus on compound lifts and utilize them to your advantage, you're going to get very far, because those same compound lifts, like I said, they involve several muscle groups, and those muscle groups are being worked as you're lifting. Me, for example, my two favorite compound lifts has got to be squats and a dumbbell incline bench press. I love them to death because they get so much done in a short amount of time instead of me going to use some cables and pulling them for a whole bunch of sets and a whole bunch of reps when I can get a lot more done with something that makes me challenge myself because I have to use heavy weight and I know I have to do a certain amount of reps to get any output or any results from it. So I was telling them that you have to really bring things back down to the basics. Don't use too much of the information that's out there, or take the information in, but use a lot of discretion. Take it with a pinch of salt, because whatever they're doing doesn't necessarily have to fit you. And you're still at the beginning stages. So that means there's gonna be a lot of trial and error. Like I said at the beginning of the video, there's a lot of trial and error when it comes to building muscle. A lot of trial and error. And that's the fun part about it, because you start to figure out a system for yourself that works best for you. I'm seeing again, there's a lot of y'all that need help with this. Y'all need a lot of help with bringing things back down to the basics and understanding the basics, because when you understand the basics, you can then build on it to become even better and better and better. And I'm gonna dive into that a little bit more. That's really gonna help y'all out and it's gonna put y'all on the correct path for sure. For sure, I'm really gonna make some videos on that because there's a lot of y'all that need a lot of help when it comes to knowing how to lift or what lifts to do or how to eat. You know, I'm gonna bring everything back down to the basics because it seems like we have way too much information and people don't know what information to use in order to build muscle and basically become the best physical version of themselves. Anyway, hope you enjoyed the video and I'll catch you on the next one.